Hello, everyone. This hour on Verbling, the next in my Great Short Stories series, we're going to be working on short story number 25 today. A short story by an author we've seen in the past, Shirley Jackson, one of the masters of American short stories. So, in this class, we're going to begin our new short story, and I'd also like to talk to you about a way to work with the short stories so that you can really gain new English from them. So we're going to talk a little bit about techniques as well. Okay, that's a bit about the class. Here's a bit about me. I'm John Eric, your verbally teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, hanging out in Lisbon, Portugal to bring you this class. By the way, here are 3 quick rules to help you participate in the class. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up, which means turn off your microphone when you're not speaking so we can keep the classroom nice and quiet. Tune in to the new words and phrases that you're learning when you are speaking so that I can correct you and give you feedback. And finally, open up to your classmates. Relax and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. And that is all you need to know about me. Now, I want to know a little bit about you. Let's see who's in the class. Oh, we've got Daniel. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, good morning.
We've got Shadow. Hello, Shadow.
Hello, teacher. Hello, Daniel.
So, where is everyone else today? Anna's out there. Maybe she'll come in. Who knows? Yuki's asleep. Maybe he'll be here. I want to talk to you just a little bit before we begin about how to work with these classes, about what to do to really learn English from them. These texts are not made for native speakers. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what we can do so that you're really getting everything you can get out of the classes. So first, before we begin, I'd like to know a little bit about your experience, just quickly, your experience with these short story classes. What do you find helpful? What kind of English do you feel like you've learned from them? I'm just curious what your experience has been. So, what do you think, Daniel? You've been in a few of these classes already.
Yes.
What do you feel that you're able to learn from being in this type of class? By the way, just a quick hello to Claudio. I didn't forget you, Claudio. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Teach.
We're going to begin in just a second.
The first read is hard for me because the vocabulary is hard. Maybe the writer is a little mad.
Right.
Crazy sentence. But then in my room, quiet, I read again, read again the book, and the text, and little by little I understand.
So
it's hard.
When we're reading together in the class, it's difficult, and then you reread it on your own, right?
Yes.
Okay. And is there anything in the class that helps you to understand it? Talking about it, does that help you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Here's what I'm trying to do. So this might be a good thing in terms of what we can do in the future. What I try to do is this. We take a text that's meant for native speakers, but it's literature. That means it's there to get you to think or to see in a different way. So my idea is that we're learning 2 things. We're learning how to be literate. That means we're learning how to think in terms of literature. And we're learning culture, English speaking culture, Anglophonic culture. But in terms of learning English, I'm trying to ask you 2 types of questions. While we're reading, I try to ask you comprehension questions. They're not written down. It's whatever, as we're reading, whatever occurs to me that I think is important for you to notice in the text. I'll ask it to you as a question. But what my goal is to get you, not you, Daniel, but you, all of you, to start to ask those kind of questions on your own, right? To be more independent. At the end of the story, I try to create at least 10 discussion questions, questions that force you to go back into the text and to reread it. What I'm trying to do there is to work on literacy, to get you to think about the themes and try to understand what the author was trying to communicate with us directly. So, in the future, it might be a good idea if you, as a student, all of you, start to ask those comprehension questions to each other. It's like I could give you one, and then I could turn it over to you to ask each other. So as you notice details in the story, you begin to formulate your own questions. So that's as we're reading. And as we finish, I can give you a few discussion questions, but I might want to ask you to formulate some of your own. So what do you think about that idea, Daniel, Shadow, Claudio? As a way to understand the text, I give you some examples of questions that you should ask, and then I turn it over to you, either during class or as a homework, to create some of your own. What do you think about that idea?
I'd rather as a homework.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it gives you more time to think. Sure.
Because he forced me to read again and understand.
Okay, what do you think, Shadow?
Yeah, I like it. I like the way, but I hate homeworks.
Well, by the way, let me get Claudio's opinion too. What do you think, Claudio? I know you haven't been in a lot of these classes yet.
Yes, I think it's a good idea because we can improve our understanding, our comprehension.
Okay, so in terms of homework, Shadow, I don't like homework either. What can I do to make it not homework? What can I do so that it doesn't feel like homework? So for example, Shadow, if I ask the questions or if I give the questions to you and you just go back, use the questions to reread parts of the text, maybe that would be an easier way to do the homework if you're just doing it mentally. What do you think?
You mean you ask me question with the part that we read it, and I have to answer this question. But how can I say this? I like to read short stories, but these short stories that you use here in classes, it's not normal for me.
No. They're classics of literature. they're very difficult.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and especially Death in Miami Beach. Oh my God, it's very difficult.
Very difficult. It's true. So, with something like Death in Miami Beach, okay, that's a really, really difficult one, even for me. I read that, and the first time I read it, I didn't really know what he was getting at. I knew he was talking a bit about death. But, okay, with that kind of text, we really need to have a discussion class because not everything is going to be obvious. But we can't have the class going on for 20 classes. It's just too much. So here's my suggestion, and tell me what you all think, okay? My suggestion is that we have a maximum of 2, maybe 3 classes in a week. If it's really, really, really difficult, maybe I'll add a third. In the first class, we read together. I'll try to select, either we'll read just the beginning or I'll try to select the most important parts. And then I create comprehension questions during the class. Okay, so that's there to get you to notice important details. And if it makes it easier for you, I'll actually write the questions instead of just saying them to you. Maybe that, I don't know, it's up to you. After class, I'll give you a set of discussion questions, which you don't have to write anything. It'll be just there. So Shadow, my intention is that it doesn't give you more homework, right? My intention is that if you read the discussion questions, it'll guide you through reading the rest of the story. And that way you would finish the story for the next class. So if we have class on Tuesday, you would have 2 days to read using the discussion questions and thinking about the themes and finish on the Thursday. And we'd only maybe read the parts that were important and spend most of the time discussing the story. And at the end, if it's still difficult, rather than schedule a class, what I'd rather you do, you as a group, would be to go to the community section and have a discussion, as a group, and I would join you there if I can. We have to, because I can't schedule too many classes for one story. But what do you think about that idea? So, first of all, is it easier if I write out comprehension questions, number one? Because right now I'm just saying them as we read. I'm just stopping you and saying, oh, what did he mean by that? What do you think that word means? I'm trying to get you to notice features of the text. So would it be easier if they were written, or is it okay to read the way we are, where I interrupt you?
I think time is limited to only 1 hour. So, and text is difficult. So, everyone have to read for themselves at home. And I think in the class we do better to focus on discussing and reading. So, without studying for yourself, there is no hope. I think so.
No, I agree. That's why I'm trying to change the class. Yeah, I agree.
So I think our teacher is on the right track.
Your teacher? Where's your teacher?
Me?
Oh, okay.
John Eric's class is method is on the track. There is no other option than we have to learn for myself.
Okay. Well, and Ishmael, I don't know, you haven't been in a lot of the short story classes, right? I don't think you have.
Yeah. No.
Or maybe in the past you were. I don't remember. Well, Daniel and Shadow especially. So I think I'm gonna try to do it in that way, the way I just suggested, and let's see how it goes. Okay. So the plan is going to be this. And by the way, if you have another suggestion, tell me. We're going to start to read the next story, but you tell me, and I can try to incorporate it. But what I'm going to try to do then is try to come up with the comprehension questions. I might interrupt you a little bit if it's something really important, but in the first class we'll do more reading, and you'll have comprehension questions there. In other words, in each paragraph there's something important you need to notice. I'll try to write out the question before. Today I didn't have time to do it, but I'll do it in the future. Between the Tuesday and the Thursday class, I'll give you a set of discussion questions which you can answer mentally. And they're meant to help guide you in reading the story on your own to finish reading. So I'll get you started, you'll read on your own, and in the Thursday class it'll be almost exclusively a discussion class. All right? That's my plan. I don't know if it's going to work.
That's nice.
You think it's okay?
Yeah, it's nice.
All right. If it's a really hard class like Death in Miami Beach, we're going to extend the class, but not creating another class. We're going to open it up in the community section. So we can pick a time. That means I don't need, because I can't schedule the classes in Verbling. We have a set schedule. I can't get extra classes. I may or I may not. So it'd be easier if we go to the community section, we all just agree, we go there, and I create the title, this is a class for Death in Miami Beach, and we have our extra discussion there. If I can do it right after class, I will, or we can schedule it at another time. Okay? But that's only if it's a difficult class and we want to continue talking. And in those classes, they're not classes, it's discussion. So it could be all of you, none of you. I can join you. I may not be able to join you. It's really something we do voluntarily. Okay, so that would be my suggestion for if it's really a difficult story.
I agree with you. I only want you to spend more time for discussion, not only reading. That very helps us to improve our English ability to speak out to
Sure. Okay.
after reading.
Sounds good to me. By the way, so let's get started. By the way, if you're out there on the chat window, remember to join the class, just click the green join button and come on in. Okay? So I see some people are asking if I can hear them, but I can only hear the people in the classroom. All right. So we're going to start with a new story, but we can always have a discussion of Death in Miami Beach in the community section later on. We can schedule a time if we all agree, or whatever we want to do. So I'm opening the story right now. This is an author you may have seen before, one of the masters of short story. I'm going to download this so I can share my screen with you. Give me just a second here, and we're going to get started. 1 second here. You've got the link there in the class material, but I'm going to share my screen as well as soon as I get this open. 1 second. Download as PDF. 1 second. In this case, by the way, the
John, you are.
What's up, Yukino?
Yes, he has gone.
I'm doing very well.
Yes.
Bad connection, teacher.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
John, your voice.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now I hear you, but your voice is cutting up.
Still? It's still cutting up?
Now it sounds normal.
Okay, because when you join, it will do that. Okay, sorry about the connection problem. It's because
okay.
I was opening the PDF. That was the problem. All right. Do you recognize that face? Do you recognize the name?
No.
No.
Oh my goodness. Yuki, you must remember that name. You must remember.
I don't.
Oh, come on, Yuki. Don't you remember we read a story by her? A really good one. A classic. You don't remember Shirley Jackson? No? Oh, I'm so disappointed, Yuki. So disappointed.
Penalty, Yukino.
I have heard one that, but I never read about the story. Her story.
But you've heard of the author?
Yes.
Yuki, do you remember a story about a certain kind of lottery?
Certain kind of lottery?
Yeah.
Yes. It is about a village, yeah? Village people.
Right.
Yeah, it is
That's it.
a cruel story.
It is.
It is. One of village people have to be killed to maintain the peace of village.
Right. If you win the lottery, your prize is that you get stoned to death by everyone else in the village.
Yes, it is a
So
lottery.
that's one of the great short stories in the English language, written by Shirley Jackson.
I remember. Yes, it's very interesting.
This one is another one, and it's a classic. So it's a story that we should know. I've also already prepared questions for you. So I'm going to have to open that. Why don't we get started? It's going to take me a minute to open the comprehension questions, okay? So let's get started. We're going to start to read it, and I'll share my screen with you when I get that open. Would you describe her writing as difficult, Yuki, when we read The Lottery? Did you find it difficult at all to understand?
In comparison with My Beach, I think her writing is a little easier.
I think so too.
Because storyline is very clear,
Right.
easy to understand. Although there is many difficult words.
So she's much more of a traditional storyteller, and Death in Miami Beach is like a memoir. It follows the structure of your memory, and she really follows more of a plot, a beginning, middle, end, characters, obstacles, things that we would, normally expect. All right, we're going to get started. I'm just trying to see if I have my notes that I made for you. And of course, I don't see my notes anywhere, which is always nice. So I'm going to have to make it up for today because I don't see them. All right, anyway, we'll get started. So you've got some great background information to look at on page 3 as well. An interview with her by the great Joyce Carol Oates. That's someone we ought to read, actually. And some essays about her. So you can get some background information there. I might use some of that as well. And her Wikipedia page. Let's get started. We're going to go around the room like we did before. It's pretty short. We might even get done in one class, okay?
Can you zoom a little bit, please?
I can try. Let's see. Hold on.
Perfect, thank you.
It's a little, that's the best I can do, okay? Don't forget, you can download this to your computer. Just click on the link and download it, all right? Okay, Claudio?
But where is the link? Okay.
See it? All right, okay.
I
So,
pasted
there you go.
the link.
So, as Yuki said, her storylines are very clear. They're much more traditional. It should be easier to follow. So you can expect a more of a typical, classically structured story. Yuki, say something about the kind of characters and the kind of setting that you expect from Shirley Jackson. What kind of characters and what kind of setting do you expect? Think back to The Lottery a little bit.
I can expect from her story the main character is lonely, feels he might feel lonely. Maybe he is isolated. No, he's one of the community, but he feels isolated. He might feel lonely, and he maybe in the last of the story he started his own trip apart from community, maybe.
Okay, so for everyone else who was not in the other class a long time ago, I think what Yuki's getting at is Shirley Jackson in The Lottery wrote the story had a lot to do with the difference between individuals and the community. And being part of the community maybe was something done in appearance, but in reality, there was something a little bit more sinister going on. So maybe the conflict between being an individual and being part of the community. And what about the setting, Yuki? Based on the lottery, what kind of setting? Do you know what I mean by setting, by the way?
Setting is a place, something where something happens.
Yeah, that's
it is a plot of the story.
Not the plot, but
not
the setting.
Plot, it's a scene of the story.
Right, the scenes, where they take place.
In previous Shirley Jackson story, it was a village isolated from, it is very on the countryside,
rural.
very isolated village.
Right, very rural.
Yes, I think main plot of Shirley Jackson is a consciousness of belonging to community and development from it.
Okay, I think that's a good point. So we've talked a little bit about the characters, probably rural people in a little community, like a little town somewhere in America in this case. So that also covers the setting. About the plot, we're expecting something that's kind of clear, classically structured. And about the themes, I didn't write that in the chat window, about the themes, maybe the conflict between community and individualism, belonging to a community and what it means to belong to a community. In the lottery, belonging to the community meant having to sacrifice yourself in a very dramatic way. You weren't allowed really to be an individual, because if you won the lottery, you had to choose to die. It was a pretty terrible story, actually. So let's see if those similar expectations play out in this story. Let's see if we got similar expectations, if similar themes and similar characters happen here. Let's find out. Yuki, why don't you start us off? Carmen is in here. Maybe Carmen's going to be fired. And you're our new first reader.
I miss Carmen.
I miss Carmen too. Maybe she'll be back one day.
Hope she was here. Okay. Charles by Shirley Jackson. That day my son Lowry started to kindergarten. He renounced corduroy.
Corduroy.
Corduroy. Sorry.
That material that cats like to scratch their nails in, that children usually wear.
It's a cotton.
It's a
cotton cloth.
Not really.
No?
I don't know what it's made out of actually, but it's very, very soft, and it's got grooves down the middle like lines, and I'll get a picture of it in a minute. Okay.
Okay. He renounced corduroy overalls with bibs and began wearing blue jeans with a belt. I watched him go off the first morning with the older girl next door, seeing clearly that an era of my life was ended. My sweet-voiced nursery school thought replaced by a long trousered by a long-trousered, swaggering character who forgot to step at the corner and wave goodbye to me. He came home the same way, the front door slamming open, his cap on the floor, and the voice suddenly became raucous, shouting, "Isn't anybody here?" At lunch, he spoke insolently to his father, spilled his baby sister's milk, and remarked that his teacher said we were not to take the name of the Lord in vain. How was school day today? I asked, elaborately, casual. All right, he said. Did you learn anything? His father asked. Rory regarded his father coldly. I didn't learn nothing, he said.
Double
Anything.
negative.
Yes. Anything, I said. Didn't learn anything. The teacher spanked a boy, though, Rory said, addressing his bread and butter. For being fresh, he added, with his mouth full. What did he do? Did he do? I asked. Who was it? Sorry. Who
was it?
Who was it? Rory thought. It was Charlie. He said he was fresh.
Okay, great. Let's stop there for a second. So, everyone, who is Laurie and who is Charles? Remember, the story is called Charles. Who is Laurie and who is Charles? Class? Let's make sure that's clear.
Laurie's son?
Laurie is the son of the narrator,
Yes.
right? We're getting it from the narrator's point of view.
Mhm.
And Charles
is a kid in the same kindergarten.
That's it. He's a kid in the same kindergarten. Maybe he's
The kid spanked.
he's the kid that was spanked. Exactly. Look at this, everyone. Everyone see this kid here?
Yes.
Yes.
He's wearing overalls, and they're made of corduroy. It's a little hard to see in the picture. Here's another picture. You can see it better. Do you see those lines going down?
Yes.
So
Pana.
corduroys, yeah, it's that stuff. You kind of want to dig your nails into it because it's soft and whatever. So here's a comprehension question for you. I'm sorry I don't have them written down for some reason because I can't find my notes. But here's my question for you. In the beginning of the text, when it says the very first line, the day my son started kindergarten, he renounced corduroy overalls. Why did he renounce them? What does renounce normally mean?
He began a new step or a new level in his life.
Exactly. So by renouncing it, he's trying to show, I guess, his parents that he's now an adult, right?
Yes. Well, adult.
If you switch from corduroy to jeans, you're a grown-up.
Hmm.
So he's not a baby anymore because he's 5. I'm 5 years old. I'm not a kid anymore.
Toddlers?
Say again?
He could be a toddler.
A toddler.
Toddler.
Well, he's 5 though, don't you think? How old are you when you're in kindergarten? Does anyone have kids?
3 in Spain. 3 years.
Really? Oh, I thought it was
Yes,
older.
Too little, too early. I think 5 or 6 years.
Well, I think 6 is like first grade in America. I think I was 6 years old in first grade.
6, 7.
Yeah, so probably a little older than 3. Because, Daniel, it's not nursery school, it's kindergarten. It's not like, like when you have those professional babysitters, but you have to bring them there and they might do something educational. We call that nursery school. But this is kindergarten, the year before you start proper school, and you do actually learn stuff. You play games, but you do actually do. I remember kindergarten. I actually remember being there, and I remember we had to count the caterpillars in a book. I remember I must have been 5, and I remember very clearly. Being there. And we did do some simple math. What's a bib, by the way? He renounced corduroys and bibs.
Bib with some cloth.
Right?
Yes.
What do you use it for? It's got a specific purpose.
It's something like a patch. patch on the no?
Not exactly.
Cloth around the neck for a baby.
Exactly. Do you have kids, Ishmael?
Yes.
There you go. Someone's got to have kids. So you know what a bib is. To stop the kid from spilling food and drink all over his or her clothes, right? You wear it around your neck. A bib. If you go to a lobster restaurant, they give you a bib as an adult. Okay. Let me ask you a question. One more question before we go on. Last comprehension question. Do you think, class? No, I'm going to call on someone specific. Claudio, do you think Charles is a good kid or a bad kid?
Bad.
Shadow, do you think Laurie is a good kid or a bad kid?
I think he's good.
Okay.
He's normal kid.
Normal kid. Okay. Keep that in mind as we read. So, Shadow, you're next on my list. Why don't you take this part here? Okay?
Okay. The teacher spanked him and made him stand in a corner. He was awfully fresh. What did he do? I asked again, but Laurie slid off his chair, took a cookie and left, while his father was still saying, "See here, young man." The next day Laurie remarked at lunch as soon as he sat down, "Well, Charles was bad again today."
Wait a second. Charles. Charles.
Oh, sorry.
You don't pronounce the L in Charles, by the way.
Well, Charles was bad again today. He grinned enormously and said, "Today Charles hit the teacher."
Oh my God.
Good heavens, I said, mindful of the Lord's name. I suppose he got spanked again. He sure did, Laurie said. "Look up," he said to his father. "What?" his father said, looking up. "Look down," Laurie said. "Look at my thumb. Gee, you're dumb." He began to laugh insanely.
Could you laugh insanely for us, Shadow?
No.
Does this seem familiar to you, Ishmael?
Yes.
Did your kids ever try to do this?
My son laughs sometimes absurdly for simple, sometimes for simple joke, or actually they have another world.
Exactly. Apparently, Laurie thinks that he's. I think it's a he, right? It's my son. It's strange because it's Laurie, but so I think Laurie thinks he's really clever. Look up, look down, look at my thumb. You're dumb. All right.
Yeah, I changed my mind. He's a bad boy.
He's a bad, but maybe he's not. Maybe it's the influence of Charles. Charles hit the teacher. You know, maybe he's getting influence, and it's only his second day, isn't it? Okay, keep going, Shadow.
"Why did Charles hit the teacher?" I asked quickly. Because she tried to make him color with red crayons," Laurie said. "Charles wanted to color with green crayons, so he hit the teacher, and she spanked him and said nobody played with Charles, but everyone did. I'm sorry, everybody did." The third day, it was Wednesday of the first week, Charles bounced a seesaw onto the head of a little girl and made her bleed, and the teacher made him stay inside all during recess.
Recess means playtime.
Okay.
They get an hour of playtime during school. It's called recess. Recess means a break. A break from studying.
What it means bounce a seesaw?
bounce a seesaw. First of all, what's a seesaw, everyone? Do you know what that is?
Mm-mm.
A seesaw is the board. It's like a board on an axis on a like a piece of metal that you can go up in the air. When one person goes down, the other person goes up. So it's like something you see in the playground,
Yeah, in a
right?
garden. Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, if I can get my screen sharing working, here is a seesaw. Here it is. Can you see it?
Ah,
Yeah.
So he bounced the seesaw. He bounced the seesaw off the head of a little girl.
Mhm.
That means she was underneath it. He jumped off, and the thing went bam. Did anyone ever do that to you? I did that to someone when I was a kid. I was on the seesaw, and for some strange reason, I don't know why. Again, this is when I was in kindergarten. I remember this. For some strange reason, I got off the seesaw when the girl was up in the air, which means that she fell very hard. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yes, sometimes kids behaving like this.
Maybe I was evil. I don't know what I was thinking when I did that. What was there another question?
Yes, teacher, what's the meaning of he's fresh? Fresh.
Fresh. Oh. Where is that? Sorry. Second to last paragraph, right?
Yeah, in the first paragraph. I mean, when Yuki was reading,
Yeah. So
he
first page.
he always said he's
he was
fresh.
fresh.
For being fresh. For being fresh. Fresh is, it means rude, but it's something you only use with kids. Fresh means rude, belligerent, like opposing authority. But you don't say it for adults. And it's usually you say it for kids because it's rude, but it's kind of like cute at the same time. Oh, you're being fresh. You're being rude with me. So kids can be fresh, teenagers can be fresh, but not everyone can be fresh. Adults wouldn't. If you say it for an adult, it usually has another meaning, like you're flirting with someone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I can give you the definition, but again, we've got to kind of look for other examples of it. That's how you'll get the vocabulary. So put it in your notes and we'll come back to it. All right. So, are you putting it in your notes? I want to hear you writing. I want to hear your
Okay.
pencil writing. So,
Can you hear it now?
I can hear it. I can hear it.
Okay.
So what do we know about Charlie and Laurie? What I notice is that Charlie's behavior starts to change day after day in kindergarten. Sorry, Laurie's
Yeah.
behavior starts to change. What do we notice about Charlie? Do we get any more details about Charlie?
No, he's just bad boy.
He just seems to be bad. Let's say a quick hello to Fares. I don't know how to say your name. Fares Moisi?
Hello,
Am I saying your name right? Fares?
my name is Ferris.
Ferris. Hi, Ferris. How are you?
I am fine. Good.
Fantastic. So, Ferris, we just started reading a short story. The author is Shirley Jackson, and we're just on page 2 right now. We're all going to take a turn reading, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, Ishmael, you're the next on my list. Can you pick it up from the bottom of page 5?
Okay.
No, wait, that's Ishmael next. Ishmael.
Okay. On Saturday, I remarked to my husband, "Do you think kindergarten is too unsettling for Lori? All this toughness and bad grammar and this Charles boy sounds like such a bad influence."
Unsettling. Do you know what that means? Unsettling. Try to substitute that with a simpler word. Unsettling. Is it too what?
Unsettling.
Too what?
Too unsettling.
I know, but could you substitute that for another word, a more common word? Maybe that's difficult.
It's uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable, yeah.
Uncomfortable.
Nervous, yeah, close. I would say more uncomfortable, or another word might be also upsetting, to upset someone.
Upset.
By the way, I forgot to ask a really important question. In the middle of that page, it said, "Good heavens," I said, mindful of the Lord's name. I just got to ask a quick question before we move on. Why do you think Forrest disappeared already? Unbelievable. Bye, Forrest. Why do you think that that piece of description is included? I mean, what does that tell you about the characters? Good heavens, I said, mindful of the Lord's name. Does that tell you something about the place, about the time, or about the characters? Just out of
Uh,
curiosity, why do you think that detail is included?
Yeah, he also said it in the beginning.
He did. Yeah, it's true. It's not the first time.
Hmm.
What does
it,
that tell you? What clue does that give you about the time, the place, or the characters?
it is a feedback of Laura's mother, and
Uh-huh.
I think the writer uh, tried to give your plot a little interesting human.
Yeah, we call that word interesting flourish. Flourish is like an ornament or decoration.
Yeah.
Flourish. I'll write it for you. Um, ooh, that's very loud. Wow, that's really loud. I hope you're okay, Ishmael. That sounds like an alarm going off. A flourish is like decoration, but I think it's more than just flourish. I agree with you. It adds a little bit more human detail. Why? I mean, it means that she's very religious. So that tells you something about the time and the place. Is this a story that takes place today?
No,
Maybe not. Maybe not. I agree. Is this a story that takes place in a big city like New York?
I think it is taking place on the countryside where religious where
Middle West.
Midwest, yeah. Countryside, Midwest. Yeah, absolutely. The Bible Belt. The Bible Belt is more in the south. The Midwest is also a more religious place than the big cities. So it gives you that idea that this is maybe a little bit in the past, and also, ooh, that's very loud again. I don't know what's happening with Ishmael. We hear lots of strange sound effects out there. And also maybe that it's in the Bible Belt or the Midwest, some rural community. And that reminds us a little bit of the lottery also. Shirley Jackson's town in the lottery was a very traditional town out there in a rural place.
families
Okay?
in such a place are very religious, so maybe.
Absolutely. More religious than maybe the big cities. Ishmael, can you continue reading or should we come back to you? Because you've got lots of noise out there. Ishmael, should we pass for the moment? I don't see anything. All right, so Ishmael, we'll come back to you. Daniel, you're next on my list. Can you
Okay.
pick it up on the next page?
Yes. Mm. I'll be all right, my husband said reassuringly.
Reassuringly.
Bound to be people like Charles in the war. Might as well meet them now as later. On Monday, Laurie came home late, full of news. "Charles!" he shouted as he came up the hill. I was waiting anxiously on the front steps.
By the way, get that k sound. Anxiously. Anxiously.
Anxiously.
Good. Good.
On the front steps. "Charles!" Laurie yelled all the way up the hill. Charles was bad again. "Come right in," I said, as soon as he came close enough. "Lunch is waiting." "You know what Charles did?" he demanded, following me through the door. Charles yelled so in school, they sent a boy in from first grade to tell the teacher she had to make Charles keep quiet, and so Charles had to stay after school, and so all the children stayed to watch him. What did he do? I asked. He just sat there, Laurie said, climbing into his chair,
Climbing.
climbing,
There's,
climbing.
there's no B. Take out the B.
Okay,
Climbing.
climbing. Okay.
There you go.
Laurie said, climbing into his chair at the table. Hi, Bob, the old dust mop. Hmm?
Dust mop. Something you use to clean the floor with. Hi, Pop, you old dust mop.
Charles had to stay after school today, I told my husband. Everyone stayed with him. What does this Charles look like? My husband asked. Laurie, what's his other name? He's bigger than me, Laurie said, and he doesn't have many rubbers, and he doesn't ever wear a
Ever.
jacket. Ever. And he doesn't ever wear a jacket. Monday night was the first parent-teachers meeting, and only the fact that the baby had a cold kept me from going. I wanted passionately to meet Charlie's mother.
To meet Charles'
To
mother.
meet, yes, sorry, to meet Charles' mother. On Tuesday, Laurie remarked suddenly, our teacher had a friend come to see her in school today.
Who do you think the friend is?
The director, no,
The director? The principal.
director, the principal.
Right. And why do you think the principal would visit?
Because their behavior.
Exactly. If the behavior gets out of hand, you have to get the director of the school, which we call the principal, to come in and deal with it. So maybe that's the friend that's going to be visiting. We'll find out. By the way, doesn't have any rubbers. Rubbers are like when it's raining, you put them over your shoes. Rubbers.
Mhm.
Because rubbers is different in different contexts. In British English, it means eraser, but for us it means you put it over your shoes when it's raining.
Mhm.
All right? And Claudio, you're next on my list.
Okay.
Next page.
Charles' mother, my husband and I asked simultaneously.
Asked.
Asked
No.
simultaneously.
Asked.
Asked.
That's it. Good.
Asked simultaneously. Now, Laurie said scornfully, it was a man who came and made us do exercise. We had to touch our toes.
Toes. Good.
Look, he climbed down from his chair and squatted down and touched his toes.
Wait. Hang on a second. Toes?
Toes.
Yeah, but give me a strong O sound. Toes.
Toes.
O.
Toes.
That's it.
Toes.
And the past tense of ed can sound like a t or like a d, but it almost never sounds like an id. Almost never. So here you're going to say touched. Repeat.
Okay. Touch it.
No, touched.
Touched.
That's it. Good.
Touched.
Asked.
I asked.
Very good. That's it. And listen to the other one. Climbed. That one is a d, like dog. Climbed.
Climbed.
Perfect. Very good. Very good. Listen to me one more time at the beginning. Nah, Laurie said scornfully. It's written like that because he's trying to get the emotion, how it really sounds. Nah, Laurie said scornfully. All right? So
Okay.
just take it from the beginning of that paragraph one more time.
Okay. Charles' mother, my husband and I asked it simultaneously. Now Laurie and
Like that. He's a
Nah.
kid. He's a 5-year-old. Nah.
Nah, Laurie said scornfully. It was a man who came and made us do exercise. We had to touch our toes.
Toes.
Look, he climbed
He
down,
climbed.
from his chair and squatted down and touched his toe. Touched his
Touched.
touched.
You were saying touched. You've got to practice on your own. Touched. Perfect. That's it.
Touched.
Now that wasn't it.
Touched.
I'll send you an exercise. You've got to practice on your own. Keep going.
Yes. His toes. Like this, he said. He got stumbling back into his chair and said, picking up his fork, Charles didn't even do exercise.
Didn't even do
exercise. That's fine, I said heartily. Heartily.
Good.
Didn't Charles want to do exercise?
Don't forget the S. Exercises.
Exercises.
Good.
Nah, Laurie said. Charles was so fresh to the teacher's friends he wasn't let do exercise. Fresh again, I said. He kicked the teacher's friends, Laurie said. The teacher's friends told Charles to touch his toes like I just did, and Charles kicked him. What are they going to do about Charles, do you suppose? Laurie's father asked him. Laurie shrugged elaborately. That's when you put your shoulders up in the air like you don't know. That expression of I don't know. Laurie shrugged. Shrugged elaborately. Throw him out of the school, I guess, he said. Wednesday and Tuesday were routine. Charles yelled during the story hour and hit a boy in the stomach and made him cry. On Friday, Charles stayed after school again, and so did all their other children. With the third weeks of kindergarten, Charles was an institute in our family. The baby was begging at Charles when she cried all afternoon. Laurie did Charles when he filled his wagon full of mud and pulled it through the kitchen. Even my husband when he caught his elbow in the telephone cord and pulled the telephone. Ashtray and a bowl of flowers off the table, said, after the first minute, looks like Charles. So, Charles became an adjective. Anytime you do something bad, you become a Charles. Let me just ask you, because we're almost at the end of the hour. What do you think is going to happen? So Daniel thought that the principal was coming to school, but the principal didn't come to school, right? It was someone who was, making them touch their toes. By the way, class, who do you think that person was who came, the friend of the teacher?
A substitute?
I don't think so. The teacher was there, wasn't it? Wasn't the teacher there at the same time? Was it a substitute teacher? Maybe you're right. I don't know. What do we think, class?
But touching his tooth?
Yeah, remember the friend of the teacher came. Do you think the bad influence? Where was it? I thought that the teacher was still there, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's a substitute teacher. Maybe you're right. I have to read it again. I thought it was someone coming to discipline the kids, but in a positive way. But maybe you're right. Maybe the teacher wasn't there, and it was a substitute teacher. I have to look better. Maybe you're right. So, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen with Charles and Laurie? Laurie seems to be changing his behavior. Charles has become this member of the house, but Charles isn't real, right? So far, Charles is just a name. Let me ask you.
I suppose that the child's behavior will be accelerated. So
You mean it'll get worse?
Get worse, and maybe it may make protagonist of this story
the wife
expected something interesting. So maybe protagonist of this story feel fun to hear the story of Charles' behavior, bad behavior. So I don't know.
So you mean the mother, Laurie's mother?
Yes.
Ishmael.
Yes.
Before we go, let me just ask a quick question. So, is this something that you can relate to? Do you think that this is a normal situation where your kid's behavior changes because of school? Can you relate to this?
Maybe, John. I think that Laurie doesn't want to go into the kindergarten, and he create a generic character in your head.
In his head.
In his head, and he explain with an indirect way to his family that kindergarten is not so suitable place for him.
Wow. How did you get that idea?
Because sometimes kids create generic stories. My son did this before.
So, sorry, go ahead.
He taught me like that everything was real, but I learned after his story there is not real.
So you think that Laurie is trying to send a message to his parents that he hates kindergarten, right? And so Charles is just him, or it's in his head.
Maybe a generic character, and he want to explain their desire by using Charles.
There you go. There you go. Could be. Could be. Interesting. Well, let's do this. I'm going to have to stop at this point. Let's do this. I've got some, like I said, I'm going to try to change the class a little bit. So I'm going to give you a set of questions which are there to help you explore the rest of the text. You're going to read the text on your own for the next class, using the questions I give you to guide you. You can write the answers if you want, or you don't have to. You can just use it as a way to help you read and help you think about what you're reading. All right, I'll send that to you in the message system through Verbling. And what was I going to say? And that's it. In regard to Death in Miami Beach, we can schedule a discussion in the community section. All right, maybe I can send you a message about that. And if you're interested, we can talk about some of the more difficult aspects of that as well. But we'll do it on our own rather than schedule another class. All right, I'll send you that material, and I'll send you a copy of the short story as well. And we'll pick it up in the next Great Short Stories. I'll be back at 12 o'clock, sorry, in 1 hour from now to do the business class, and I have another class after that. Fun with Phrasals, my Grammar Garage series. See you next time, everyone. Bye for now. See you soon.
Take care. See you.